Hello, bienvenue, willkommen, karibu, welcome to the Med Lounge with Christina, where we discuss everything medicine, health, and life. Hello, and welcome back to the Med Lounge with Christina. This is the Med Lounge. I am Christina, a medical practitioner here in Uganda. Last week, we saw why Africa continues to struggle with malaria eradication and why it hasn't been successful in its eradication like other countries and other continents have been. We also looked at what needs to be done, and we saw that one of the measures could be the malaria vaccine. In today's episode, as I had promised, I'll be looking at the controversies of the malaria vaccine. I'm going to react majorly to a video that was shared by Joseph Kabuleeta, a politician and former presidential candidate here in Uganda. This video has been shared by so many acquaintances of mine and friends, and I thought it wise to react to it because this is a sort of prominent figure in Uganda who is saying these things about the vaccine. So we shall be looking at what is true and what is not in this video. So Joseph Kabuleeta is a former presidential candidate. He has also been a very vocal critic of vaccines. There were videos of him against the COVID vaccine, and then there is this video against the malaria vaccine, and he believes that these vaccines are not meant for the good of Africans. He believes that there is a hidden agenda, and we are going to be looking at his views here, and we see which of it is true and which of it are falsehoods.
My name is Joseph Kabuleeta. I'm a politician, a leader of a party called National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, but I'm coming to you here today as a parent and as somebody concerned about what I know is about to unfold in this country. And that is because I know that in the month of November 2023 going forward, the Minister of Health is planning to unveil a serious malaria vaccine rollout.
So this video was made back in October of 2023. This was before the vaccine was rolled out in Uganda. The vaccine has just been rolled out April of this year, 2025. And the vaccine he's talking about is the RTSS, which is the Mosquirix. However, we have, as a country, rolled out a different vaccine, the R21.
And it's going to be a door-to-door campaign and almost forceful. They enter into your compound, they get all the children who are under 5 and forcefully inoculate them with this very controversial malaria vaccine. Now,
okay, so this is not a door-to-door campaign. They won't pick children from homes. It won't be a forceful practice. It is instead integrated in the routine immunization program, so that way you carry your child for vaccination to a health facility is the same way that this is going to be done. So just like that, take your child for the routine vaccine, the polio vaccine, the measles vaccine, it is the same way that this is going to be done. At the specific ages that the child is supposed to get this vaccine, they will be getting it just like as they are getting the other vaccines that they are supposed to get at the time that they are scheduled to get them. So they are not going to vaccinate kids in schools, in kindergarten. They won't come to homes looking for children for vaccination, because this is not a door-to-door campaign, but instead a routine vaccination program.
Let me tell you about how controversial this vaccine was. They first started testing it in 2009. And when they tested it in 2009, 2011, they found that actually it prevents, it has 0% protection for malaria. So you give it to somebody and there is no protection whatsoever. They will get malaria in the same way that they would have if they hadn't gotten the vaccine. So they took it back for some kind of modification and so on. Then they brought it back in 2015. And now they rolled it out in 3 countries, Kenya, Ghana, and Malawi. Now,
so first of all, we need to remember that the vaccine he's talking about, the RTSS, was the pioneer vaccine. It was the very first malaria vaccine being made. So they were bound to have certain things that they are looking at. They were bound to meet certain dead ends. So
in Kenya, it was kind of stopped quickly because Kenya gave an excuse why they don't want it and so on. Ghana, immediately they started rolling it out and they saw how hazardous it was to children. They stopped it and they said that they can only proceed with the vaccination if the people who manufactured the vaccine give them the same immunity against serious disease, against death and an injury, the same immunity that they would give people, let's say in America. If you are going to pay for all the mistakes and the injuries that come from your vaccine at the same rate that you would pay elsewhere, then we will accept. As soon as they put that condition, they ran away. Nobody wants that because they know how dangerous this vaccine is. Now,
so the malaria vaccine implementation program started in 2019, and 3 countries were selected by the World Health Organization: Kenya, Malawi, and Ghana. And this was a pilot rollout in these 3 countries to test the feasibility of the vaccine, its safety in the real world setting, to test its impact on malaria burden. It is not true that Kenya stopped the rollout over an excuse. I tried to look for research that supports that. I didn't find any. The program was successful and ran its full course in all the 3 countries, and over 900,000 children were vaccinated in all the 3 countries. This pilot rollout was to assess how well the vaccine worked in the real world setting, so outside the clinical trials that had been done. They looked at things like delivery, logistics, parental acceptance, its impact on malaria cases, and child deaths.
Then now Malawi was the place where we get a lot of these statistics from. Now, in Malawi, it was found out that 4 doses of the vaccine, because the children are supposed to take 4 doses, one after every month. It was found out that after 4 doses, the children only get a 30% protection from malaria. 30%. In other words, the vaccine efficacy after 4 doses is 30%. And it wanes very fast. After about 6 months, it has waned. 30%.
So yes, it is true. The efficacy of the RTSS vaccine stands at 30%. Actually, it is 30 to 50%, which is a lesser efficacy. However, in comparison to the R21 stands at 70%, 70 to 80% efficacy. So this is the vaccine that was developed later, so it has a better efficacy. And then he talks of the vaccine waning after a period of 6 months. That is why we need the booster doses. However, this is not the only vaccine that involves booster doses. We have booster doses in hepatitis B vaccination. Those that in countries like the US, where we have the flu shots, booster doses are provided for these. We have vaccines that require booster doses. However, hopefully in the future, they could develop the drug, develop the vaccine better, and then we end up with maybe needing lesser booster doses or something like that. But it needing booster doses doesn't take away the fact that it is important or it is effective.
30%. Now, previously, before the COVID mRNA vaccines were about prevention. If you take let's say a polio vaccine, you don't expect to get polio. But now COVID introduced something new where they can vaccinate you, but you're still just as susceptible as an unvaccinated person to get sick of the sickness against which they vaccinated you, or even worse in the case of COVID.
So he talks of the children that have been vaccinated being as susceptible as the children that haven't been vaccinated to malaria. Now, the way vaccines work, vaccines prevent you, the vaccinated, from getting the severe effects of the disease. They do not prevent you from getting the disease. That is why I believe many of us that were vaccinated against measles can still get measles, or some of us even in childhood did get measles. So it prevents you from getting the severe stage of the disease. The malaria vaccine prevents your child from getting the severe stages of the disease. The child may still get the disease, but the advantage is there are lesser chances of them getting the severe stage or stages of the disease.
Now, this has changed everything. This malaria vaccine is the same technology, mRNA, that was used for COVID. I have to tell you that. Number one.
He also says that the RTSS is an mRNA vaccine. This is not true. Both malaria vaccines are actually protein-based, and they are not mRNA vaccines like Pfizer and Moderna COVID vaccines.
Number two, after 4 doses, you can only get, I'm talking about children, your children can only get a 30% protection. Number three, a top researcher in the University of Southern Denmark called Peter Abbes said that even if some children who are vaccinated have a 30% less chance of getting malaria, they have the same chance of dying of malaria. So in that sense, it's almost useless.
He keeps referencing Peter Abbes. Who is Peter Abbes? Peter Abbes is a Danish anthropologist and medical researcher. He is renowned for his works on the non-specific effects of vaccines. That is how vaccines can influence the overall health beyond their targeted diseases. He focuses majorly on child health and immunization programs, and he has a health project in Guinea-Bissau. I'd also like to point out that Peter Abbes is not against vaccination, but he simply looks at some of the effects that may not be thought of or that may not be looked at, and pushes for more research to be done about some of these effects. We shall be seeing some of these in the video. So he says vaccinated children have the same chance of dying from the disease as unvaccinated children. Now, this is not true. Large-scale studies and pilot programs do demonstrate that the vaccine actually reduces both malaria incidence and malaria deaths. There was a 13% reduction in all-case mortality shown by a World Health Organization coordinated pilot. That demonstrates that the vaccine instead helps prevent deaths.
The benefit I've told you, 30% chances of you being protected from malaria in the 6 months after you've taken the vaccine. Now here are the risks. Number one, it causes a 10-fold increase in meningitis among those children who have been vaccinated. 10-fold increase. Now,
about the 10-fold increase in meningitis, now in a phase 3 clinical trial, there was a small but slightly significant increase in malaria cases, rather in meningitis cases, among those that had been vaccinated. However, the numbers were significantly small, or the absolute numbers were small. The main cause of this was not established. However, later in the real-world pilot studies, this was not observed. So also in the pilot study that was conducted by the World Health Organization, this was not observed. Therefore, the World Health Organization and other global health bodies concluded that the benefits of the vaccine outweighed this potential risk. Reason being, the risk hadn't been seen other than in that phase 3 clinical trial.
The second one is seizures. seizures and hallucinations. People take the thing and they start hallucinating. They are seeing things, and some of them go into seizures. These are even stated by the vaccine manufacturer himself.
He speaks of the vaccine causing seizures. Now, these are mostly febrile seizures. Febrile seizures are seizures that happen because a child's body temperature is high, or because the child has a fever. So, and this would be expected. Some cases may occur because the vaccine, like many vaccines, actually causes fevers. So febrile seizures may happen, but still these are in rare cases, and these are not only specific for the malaria vaccine.
Cerebral malaria has been one of, even stated here by the manufacturers themselves, of these mosquitoes. Cerebral malaria. So imagine you're treating normal malaria, which you're going to give some medicine and the person, then you go and they tell you go and get the vaccine in quotes, and then you end up with cerebral malaria, which affects the brain of the child and the brain development of the child. Very, very dangerous.
The risk of causing cerebral malaria, this is actually false. The vaccine instead prevents severe disease, and this includes cerebral malaria. So there is no way that the vaccine could be causing what it is meant to prevent. So that is not true.
And for some reason, girls have been dying at an alarming rate, much faster than boys. These researchers were trying to offer their reasons why, and but I don't want to get into that.
In one part of that trial, there was actually an imbalance. There was a slightly higher all-cause mortality in girls that had been vaccinated than the boys. What is an all-cause mortality? This is death that occurs either due to the vaccine or any other cause that may have led to this death. And so there were children that had been vaccinated, and they saw that a portion of these girls died more than the boys. However, in the real world, in Malawi, Ghana, and Kenya, these numbers were not replicated. Like, this was, I would say, like an incident that occurred only during that trial phase. So there could have been other causes for this death, or these deaths that was not necessarily the vaccine itself. So although this is data that had to be recorded because it is something that occurred, it is not a real indicator, it is not an actual indicator of actual risk. So it is data that happened and had to be documented, but no correlation was found to specifically pinpoint and say this was due to the vaccine. There could have been other factors that led to these girls or these female babies dying that was not necessarily the vaccine.
And they will give away poor children. And that's how that's just the way it is. Nobody cares about poor children. Of course, except me. Now, the thing is, the officials at Ministry of Health are not going to get vaccinated. Their children are not going to get this malaria shot. Their relatives are not going to get it. None of them is going to get it, because they know these things that I'm talking about. What are they going to do? They are going to go to slums. They are going to go to villages. They are going to go to poor people.
Now, he keeps saying poor children in poor communities. The vaccine has first been rolled out in 105 districts in Uganda. These are districts with high and moderate malaria transmission. Later, the vaccine will be countrywide, but for now it is those specific 105 districts that are targeted. So there we have it. Those are some of the key areas that I thought I should react to in this video. If there is anything that you feel I have missed out, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. You can comment and let me know. If there is anything you would love me to clarify a little bit more, please do the same as well. I would like to thank all of you that continue to watch my videos. Those that have subscribed, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. comment, like, share this video, and be part of the Med Lounge community. Until next time, kwaheri, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, goodbye.